Welcome to the Elevator Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Madden. I've had an amazing 35 years in the elevator industry, and now I'm ready to pay my knowledge forward. Let's dive right in. Welcome to the Elevator Entrepreneur Podcast, Miss Amy DiPaolo. Thank you for being here. I'd like you to tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, journey's been coming up to today, and then how'd you get in the elevator industry?
Thanks for having me, Sean. My story goes back a little ways now. I'm over 30 years in the industry. I started as a teenager at Dover Elevator Company. I got the chance to take a temp job, a friend of mine, and we're like, let's just go make some money. So I wound up at Dover, Manhattan. I was on a special project for about 9 months, and after that time, they hired me. I did a lot of administrative positions when I first started and wound up in operations mostly as a dispatch and a coordinator and really learned the ropes at Dover Elevator. I had a really good mentor there who took me under his wing, and I learned a lot about elevators. I would go out in the field with the guys and be a little hands-on, so I was able to learn the technical aspect. It's really where I got my start and why I was able to do so well in operations, because I was actually out there working with the guys on elevators.
You actually got to go out and do stuff on elevators with the guys. That's
Yeah,
amazing. I didn't
yeah,
know.
I would give up some nights and do night calls with some of the guys and in some
Nice.
interesting places in New York City. So I learned a lot about life there too. I'll put it that way.
Interesting place.
Yeah, but I loved Dover Elevator. I enjoyed my time there. I eventually went into sales. And about 13 years into my career, I got an opportunity to work at an independent. It was one of the ex-Dover guys that had started a company, and he knew my value and my worth and gave me a shot as his vice president of sales. I helped him grow that company 300 times the size it was when I first got there, and he wound up selling to Kone. Then I decided to go to another independent company where I was for a little while and wound up starting my own company in 2014.
Look at you
Yeah, so
jumping
you know
out.
what? I mean, I was lucky enough to have a husband who was a very high level adjuster and came home one day and I told him, we're going to start our own company. And he's like, oh, what do you mean? Like in a couple of months, in a year? I said, no, tomorrow. I'm going to go in and give notice. And
In true Amy fashion.
yes, and luckily for me, he followed his crazy wife into this new path. And we became company owners and had a great run, a good 7 years. And we decided to sell just because we needed to grow and expand and really didn't have the resources. And it was a good time in the industry as well to sell. So we sold to Champion. I stayed on there at Champion for my contract of 3 years. And then most recently, I went to AEG, which is one of the largest, if not the largest independent in the United States. And it's non-union, and my whole career was union. So I'm getting a very different viewpoint of the industry being at AEG and understanding the difficulties for union versus non-union. So getting that experience is great. That is my career up to now in a nutshell.
It's a pretty impressive career, Amy. Had such a diverse background coming up from opportunity to be in the field to, smaller independents, the national, I guess they call them. And then now you're American Elevator Group. That's the amazing journey, really.
Yeah, I never thought I was going to be the one to hop around, but I don't consider it hopping around because I was at places that got purchased, and
Yeah.
to this point, I've really enjoyed my journey.
Well, good. Opportunity is everything. And it's funny you say that because I always thought I would go to work for a company and be there forever is my plan. And life just changes that sometimes. Opportunity changes that, good or bad. But I think the diversity also helps your background and seeing things from a different perspective. It's been good for me as well. So I appreciate that. One of the things I want to talk about today is, the industry in general. What challenges are you seeing out there? Challenges are you seeing that elevator entrepreneurs are facing?
Yeah, so for me, I've had a lot of discussions around this, and I really do feel like repopulating our workforce is a big challenge. Whether you're union or non union, there's a lot of people at this point with the generations that are coming up that are retiring. We have a big part of both union and non-union companies that need to repopulate their field force.
Hmm.
And I'll speak specifically to the union side right now in saying that I know a lot of the bigger companies, I believe, have made a big mistake of not hiring too many apprentices and
Hmm.
hooking up mechanics with each other to get the job done, because it is efficient and it is easy because mechanics can be independent and working by themselves. But when you don't bring on apprentices like you should, you're not training the next generation of
Yeah.
the field force. And eventually you're going to just age out and be in real trouble when you're trying to repopulate the mechanics to fill your operations. The non-union companies have a totally different challenge with field force, where they probably hire more, but they train them and they wind up losing a lot of them to union companies.
Right.
I do see non-union probably making a bigger effort to recruit into the industry because that's where they have to go. They can't just call the union and say, hey, give me another guy. But both of them, not just field force, but also office employees, your PMs, your supers, your support staff, it just seems to be that there's going to continue to be a mass exodus
Yeah.
of retirees and people even just leaving the industry. I also see big opportunity to bring people into the industry in a lot of industries that may be replaced by AI.
Hmm.
People are going to have to look to change their occupations and their careers. So I
Right.
think it's a big opportunity for the elevator industry maybe to pick up some really intelligent people. But it has to happen because,
Yeah.
you're invited to a new retirement party every month. You see these people
Right.
are leaving. So it's an issue. And I feel strongly about trying to come up with solutions to help solve that.
No, it's a big problem for sure. You mentioned something earlier about people leaving the industry, and I think you meant not necessarily retiring. Remember the last 25, 30 years, you made it the first few years in the industry, you usually never left. Like it was the one of the best brotherhoods, one of the best industries to be in, very well paying, lots of opportunity to learn and grow with diversity. Pretty much you could go anywhere and do a lot of different things. And if you were a decent, good person, you were going to stay in the industry. What do you contribute some of the people that's been in the industry for 10 plus years leaving? What do you think might be causing
So I see a big change in our industry. And it depends on the person, how you're going to think of it, whether it's positive or negative. But as PE has entered this industry, it's changed a lot of the way that these companies are running.
that? Mm-hmm.
And it's really more about the bottom line and making profits than it is about the people. The cultures have changed in a lot of these
Mm-hmm.
big companies. So I think it is the bigger companies that are maybe PE backed. People may be looking for more of a cultural change, so going elsewhere. But I do believe that's, in my opinion, that's probably the biggest contributor.
Makes sense. There's a lot of roll up this one industry in the last few years, and I predict there's going to be a lot of startups in the next few years, just going out and taking that risk as you did and I did years ago. But it doesn't solve the issue you bring up, which is how do we keep people in the industry, obviously, but also continually recruit people in the industry. And one of the things I did see, I'm going to say close to 10 years ago now, and I heard and seen some of this unfolding, is a lot of the union recruiting plans where they got apprentices in, they slowed that process down. In some cases, stopped it because they had too many people. And they also were worried about, okay, well, we don't want to have too many people on the hook. But then now there's this gap of that time that it took to get everybody in and learn the apprenticeship side of the trade. I mean, it takes 4+ years and it just takes time. So we may be feeling some of that gap now. Does that fit into what timeline and criteria you've seen in the past?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there was a big lag in there. When you're talking about the people retiring now, they're in their 50s, late 50s and early 60s. A lot of the union guys will retire at 58 and a half. So they want to enjoy their retirement. They work hard physically all their lives. When you look into the actual workforce, at least the companies that I've seen and I've been with, there's a real lack in the field of people that are between 30 and 40. It goes from 50 and 60 who are retiring to 20s. There's a lot of 20 somethings coming into the industry now, which is a very good thing. But there was a big period of time where, again, what I was talking about with the apprentices, maybe they didn't bring in as many apprentices because the work dried up and they said, nope, we're just going to use our mechanics. I do see the work starting to increase again as far as modernization and construction. We're going to need the people, but yes, there was a period of time where I don't think the recruitment level was very high, so there's a big generation gap. There's some people in their 30s and 40s, but that's got to be the lowest demographic of our field force, I would say. And we really have to make an effort to either bring people in from other industries, HVAC, electrical, whatever, in that 30 to 40 age group, or really start recruiting these 20-somethings out of high schools and trade programs. So, yes, I do believe there's a generational gap.
Yeah, some interesting ideas. And I remember hearing a lot of conversation about this in the last 10 plus years. The baby boomers are retiring, not as many younger people coming into our industry because it's a very hands-on industry, and they're used to, instead of working on cars, shade tree mechanics with their dads, they're playing video games. And so how do you recruit those types of people and keep that moving? And, it's interesting. We had one person that came in that had never worked on elevators, didn't know tools. And that is very different than anything I had ever dealt with. And he ended up being an amazing elevator guy today. Not a common thing you see in our industry. They usually come with some understanding of basic tools, some understanding where they worked with their dads on something. I think the world changed a lot too, where we used to be able to work on a lot of the stuff ourselves over the years, and technology changed, and now it's a board. So where you used to be able to go work on your own HVAC or all that kind of different stuff, that's changed. So kids didn't get that experience, or even to see how enticing that could be. So starting in the schools is often very helpful. And we've tried some stuff in some of the tech type industries, and recruiting is, in our industry, is always a very important piece. Do you have any ideas, like where could we go in the 30-40 range? How could we recruit people in to entice them? You got any thoughts or ideas about that?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's out of the industry, right? So you look at HVAC and electrical, that's an easy transition to the elevator business. And I think I wouldn't concentrate on just 30 to 40s, probably just anybody under 40. I think that there's been a decent shift in the mindset of parents and educators that for a very long time, and it's those people, the millennial generation, where we said to them, you have to go to college to be successful.
Yeah.
And it was a long time that this message was put out there to all the students in high school and middle school. Now there's been a concerted effort to say, maybe college isn't for everybody. Mike Rowe started a huge movement in regard to the trades and offering scholarships for tradesmen. They go to high schools, they go to middle schools, because that's one of the first places that you need to go to get that idea in those kids' head. Because as a freshman in high school, they're already grooming you to do what you want to do once you graduate high school. So you're either going to go into the trade programs that the high schools offer, or you're going to go towards getting a college degree. So you really need to get kids early. And I think that's actually the movement that has been started, I think is working. Because like I said before, I do personally know a lot of 20-something-year-olds that are now entering this industry, and they love it. So that's encouraging. But right now, the people that are exiting the industry in retirement is going to be more than what we've been bringing in. So I think when that does happen and we're in a pinch and we need to hire somebody and train somebody, that's when you're going to be looking at HVAC and electrical, because at least they already have some sort of background first. Or look at the trade schools. When the students graduate there after 2 years and they've got an electrical certification,
Right.
go after them, which I think we've been doing a good job with, but I think we need to do more.
Yeah, maybe get a hold of Mike Rowe. You're talking about dirty jobs, I presume. Did some stuff on the elevator pits. I remember that. Maybe we can entice him to help recruiting in our industry. But I didn't realize that he had that. So I'm going to look into that. But you're right. Gave me this idea on, maybe this is something you want to tackle in your future retirement. But the idea was like these people retiring, maybe we should talk to them and say, how was your career and what did you like about it? And get that knowledge out there because I still hear it all the time. It surprises me. People say, elevators. I never thought about elevators. I never thought about working on elevators, but you hear HVAC, you hear plumbing, you hear electrical, industrial, all this other stuff. And it's just this just little niche thing that people just don't talk a lot about externally. And we got to get the word out more, I think.
Yeah, people don't know about the industry. It's a little hidden gem. If you think you get funny looks, you should see the ones that I get. Like, what? You're in the elevator industry? But people know now. And, some people have found out about it. PE's found out about it. But we need workers to find out about it. So the more high school trade shows that individual companies can do it, you don't have to wait for a union to do something or the NAC to do something or whomever. Individual companies can go to these shows and explain a bit about the industry and the training programs that we have available to anybody that wants to enter it, which there's quite a few, whether you're union or non-union. So I think everybody can make a concerted effort to help recruit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And something you didn't mention, but you're actually on the board. You're currently vice chair, president-elect for September of 25, correct?
Correct. Yes. This is my second term on the board of directors, which I'm the first person in the elevator industry to serve a second term, and honored to have been voted in as the president this September. I'll be sworn in as president and I'll serve my 1-year term. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's kind of a pinnacle to a career in this industry. It's an honor and I'm really looking forward to it.
No, I really appreciate you doing it, and I'm sure the industry will appreciate it. And some of these things you're talking about with getting people in the industry, you can have some of those conversations at the board level and potentially even come up with some other great ideas. So really appreciate the discussion, the inputs. This is what I believe educates people. And I always learn every time I meet with people. So appreciate you taking the time. What's one thing you would like to leave our listeners with, like a golden nugget or an idea or a concept? Do you have something you want to leave them with?
This is to people probably in the beginning of their careers or just entering the industry. I use myself as an example that you don't need higher education, although higher education is great. You don't even need trade school if you're an office employee, but you work hard in this industry and you will get opportunities. You will get great opportunities to further your career. It's just you taking advantage of it. So if you work hard and you get education, if you like that, you can go anywhere in this industry. It's a very generous industry and not very well known. So there's an incredible opportunity coming up for somebody to be successful in this industry. And as long as you work hard, you can get there.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Amy. And one little tidbit to that, it made me think about it when you were saying the little hidden gem. My dad was with Otis for over 20 years, and he got in because he had a really close friend. And back in the day, nobody in the industry wanted anybody in. If you wasn't family or really close friend, nobody really wanted you in the industry. It was our little hidden gem. But now that we've grown as an industry and there's so much work out there, we need more people to come in our industry and see how great it is and continually grow and thrive. So appreciate your time today, Amy.
Absolutely no problem. Thank you, Sean.
Have a great day. Thank you for listening to the Elevator Entrepreneur Podcast. Until next time, stay safe out there, and I will continue to empower my fellow elevator entrepreneurs.